Mr. President, I rise today to continue my tribute to Nebraska's heroes, the current generation of men and women who lost their lives defending our freedom in Iraq and Afghanistan. Each of these Nebraskans has a special story to tell. Today, I will recall the life and service of Chief Warrant Officer Christopher Allgaier, a native of Omaha, Nebraska. Growing up, Chris lived a pretty typical life for a Nebraska boy. During high school, he played video games and he went to movies with his friends. With his family, he was a frequent visitor to Big Fred's Pizza in Omaha. The regular cheese pizza was his go-to. On Friday nights, he was known to go watch fellow classmates at high school football games. And on Saturdays during the fall, he did what a lot of Nebraskans do. He would attend or watch a Husker football game. Along with his sister Sharon and brother Rob, Chris grew up in a Catholic household. His family attended St. Robert Bellarmine Catholic Church in Omaha. At Creighton Prep High School, Chris was a member of the Creighton Prep National Honor Society, National Spanish Honor Society, and the school's science club. He was very dedicated to academics, and he graduated with the highest academic honors in 1991. During Chris's senior year at Creighton Prep, he became very interested in fixed-wing aircraft and flying. After high school graduation, Chris continued his studies at another Jesuit institution, St. Louis University, where he continued his interest in aircraft by studying aeronautical administration. Shortly after receiving his bachelor's degree, Chris enlisted in the United States Army. This surprised his family and his friends. His father attributes the decision to Chris's sense of duty and his interest in aeronautics. Chris graduated from basic combat training at Fort Jackson before attending his advanced individual training in aviation mechanics. The idea of Chris working in aviation mechanics always struck his father, Bob, as somewhat funny. Growing up, Chris didn't like getting his hands dirty or helping him change the oil in the family vehicles. Due to his strong academic record and interest in aeronautics, Chris was persuaded to apply for Warrant Officer Candidate School. Chris liked the idea of becoming a warrant officer so he could specialize and become an expert in aviation. He graduated at the top of his class from Warrant Officer Candidate School, and he became a helicopter pilot. While performing his duties in the Army, Chris also took classes from Embry-Riddle Aeronautical University. He graduated with a master's degree in aeronautical science in 2001, the same year the September 11th terrorist attacks shook the lives of all Americans. Chief Warrant Officer Allgaier deployed to South Korea for over a year before going to Afghanistan in 2003 and Iraq in 2005. While deployments are usually tough for any family, 2005 was especially difficult for the Allgaiers because Chris's mother, Sally, passed away. In 2006, Chris was assigned to the 3rd General Support Aviation Battalion, 82nd Brigade Combat Team, 82nd Airborne Division out of Fort Bragg, North Carolina. The unit deployed to Afghanistan in 2007. He flew CH-47 Chinook helicopters in transport missions. During this time, Chris flew a lot of night operations. His father said that Chris would call him every couple of weeks between missions just to catch up. Those were phone calls that Bob always looked forward to receiving. The upper Singin Valley in Helmand Province was the center of fighting in Afghanistan in 2007. A British newspaper called it the deadliest area in Afghanistan. On the night of May 30th, 2007, Chris flew another night operation, transporting approximately 30 service members from the 82nd Airborne Division in the Upper Singin Valley. Shortly after dropping the soldiers off for their important mission, insurgents shot down his Chinook. The crash killed Chris and 4 other service members. Chief Warrant Officer Allgaier's memorial service was held on June 6 at a Catholic church in Omaha. Hundreds of people, including over 100 Patriot riders, turned out to pay their final respects. Chris was laid to rest on June 18, 2007 in Arlington National Cemetery. Fellow Chief Warrant Officer Paul Wetzel said that losing Chris will definitely leave a void in the aviation community that can't be filled by anybody else. There will be other pilots in the future, but none will ever equal Chris Allgaier. Chris is survived by his wife Jenny and 3 daughters, Natalie, Gina, and Joanna. In 2010, Chris was honored by the unveiling of Christopher Allgaier Street in the neighborhood which he grew up. Rob discussed how his brother was his hero during the ceremony. He said Chris didn't see himself that way. He didn't see himself as a martyr or as a hero. He was an American who was doing his duty. They're not doing it for an ulterior motive. They're doing it because they believe in it, and it is the right thing to do. Chief Warrant Officer Chris Allgaier was awarded the Bronze Star and the Purple Heart posthumously. I join Nebraskans and Americans across this country in saluting his willingness, his family's sacrifice to keep us free. I'm honored to tell his story. Thank you, Mr. President. I yield the floor.